difficult conditions. And having a vineyard in Pantelleria or in the Eole Island, or making every kind of cultivation in the island as particular type of lentils is an activity that is much more complicated when you talk about working in the island, because there everything is more complicated. Starting from what seems to be ordinary, everything is actually more complicated. As administration, we have always seen these territories, we have always preferred these territories, and we have always tried to help those territories with our instruments, the instruments at our disposal as administration and as government. As to the examples of heroic agriculture, we have the characteristic example of the volcano of the Etna that succeeded into giving some excellent productions in the sector of wine in other particular conditions. And there are some specific characteristics of these products with a particular biodiversity. A few days ago there was the mayor of Mayache who said we have a particular fruit, etc., because in these lands there's a strong biodiversity and specific characteristics of these products. A few years ago I went to Riviera del Castiglione and I saw a small fruit grove and an apple grove, well managed with a very good product. They are very small apples that you can only find in that area, just in the Etna area. And when these apples were used, the product finished in a few days because that product is very good. So these are the characteristics of the island. And moreover, as a government, we work on a possibility related to particular initiatives and actions addressed to Ireland, because there's extraordinary work for the future planning of some specific interventions in the minor islands, because these minor islands need everything and need more punctual interventions that are not the same if compared to the intervention that we make on the mother island. And the other intervention is the possibility for Greek Island and other states that we have here, so the possibility to create a link, a network between islands of the different European countries, and imagine inside of the activities of international cooperation, to imagine some projects that could be developed together in this sector for the reassessment of this kind of domain. And I apologize a lot that I can't stay with you today. Some of my colleagues will attend this meeting and will give me the results of this roundtable that we are having, so that as government we could give an address, an indication on the activity to make, to carry out for this kind of interventions on the agriculture, and through the immediate plan that we have, because in September we will have a new planning, so maybe we could look in a different way at the island. So we do not have to talk about the minor percentage, the major percentage. Maybe we should imagine some different policies that could involve every other aspect related to the usual life of the island people. An example could be referred to the problem of wastes in the island. We should understand how to find a way to eliminate our waste without putting them into ships. So there's a new project in the Balearic Islands on the wastes, and in order to avoid transportation on boats, and we as Sicilians should understand what the other did and bring that in our territories to improve our life in the island. Due to the difficulties of transportation, I saw a few days ago a perennial link with the land between land and islands, and we have many interventions. And these interventions weren't made through the funds of some particular funds, but through the funds of rural development. So around this table, we could create some comparisons among every stakeholder and through the involvement of other stakeholders in order to improve the conditions of production of life of the populations living in the worst parts of land, so the island, in terms of privilege, and we could work together, maybe in Valle d'Aosta and in the Etna area, where difficult situations for the cultivation of these mountains. So I thank you, I wish you a good job, and I will hear what you said at the end of the meeting. Good evening, thank you to all the attendees. This evening we will talk about heroic agriculture, Vietnam and minor islands. I believe that we can begin because we're a bit late, so we can start with our speeches of this evening, and in particular with Maria Vita Romeo, that we talk about the technological power and ethical political duty for nature. Good evening. So in line with the topic of the Expo Fit the Planet Energy for Life, the teachers of the University of Catania of Morals Philosophy propose a series of insights looking at our food habits, but also related to the wrong use of our technologies that are leading to an ecocide. And the world of the ethic cannot stand still, but has to give its own contribution in order to solve that ecological crisis on which our researchers try to pay their attention through a responsibilization of young people and through the communication of the importance of the environment and the nature. Very often we look at our land as a warehouse for food, but we do not think that this is useful to feed our soul. And in a world like the one we're having today, without identities, this is a hard task.
Un compito a cui tutti noi siamo chiamati, soprattutto
We are all invited to act, because in these places we shape the man of the future. So our project is promoted by our Department of Philosophy, Models of Ethic for the territories of Etna, and it was made through the cooperation between the University of Catania and the Park of Etna. The goal of this project is to have a series of insights on the social and environmental ethic, to promote sensitivity in schools and in society, and creating in the territory an ethical habitus by aiming at the environmental protection. The teachers of moral philosophy try to promote the environment through some scientific educational class for the promotion from a food nutritional point of view, even in the Etna area. So this has been made, and we are making some, we're having some conferences, and we had some tours that connect philosophy and nature. So we have the need to collect man and nature, trying to understand the real role of man. And this role is hidden by that willingness of power. So nature for us is a subject where we can exploit without restrictions, because it is in our hands. So nature is in front of the man, but the man doesn't feel the participation in this nature. So we have some teachers from the Greek people, and every element of the fuses men need to participate in everything. And the modern man raised a wall. Scusi, può parlare un po' più lentamente per la traduzione? Grazie.
L'uomo della modernità, complice l'affermazione della scienza moderna e tecnica, ha dunque completamente sovvertito, come citò da Hannah Arendt, il fare con il contemplare, agendo sulla natura non come un saggio amministratore, ma come un despota trascinato da un insaziabile desiderio di potenza. Ora in seguito il potere di fatto non è buono né cattivo,
so the power is not good or bad, it's just the way of using this power. So we should recall that we could act, we could create, and we could start from the knowledge on nature. In order to respect our nature, we need to know that nature, to perceive that nature, to live it and love it. We respect everything that we know, because love, as Plato said, is first of all knowledge. The respect for nature is related to the knowledge that must be used with responsibility. The balance between knowledge, power and responsibility will guarantee to the postmodern man to find that alliance between the nature that has been lost with the modern area. Saying the truth, through the science and technique, we obtain a huge power in the world, and we cannot understand our duty in the world. It is true that without science and technology, we wouldn't have development. We should distinguish between science and technology and technology. So we have this terrible, devastating results in the technology sector. with some revolutions in the freedom of man. So it's the market which chooses what to do. So there's the only paradigm of profit. And if humankind wants to be free and create the world, so the first step for this change, for this sense of freedom, is to know each other through an intimate research with the nature. And to do so, it is necessary to feel the nature and to understand it as something that is with us and not for us. So we will improve our situation, and these
moralmente significa anche
involves
affidarsi
a link
tempo
with
presente,
the nature.
rinunciando a tutti i
But we
oggi
need
per
to
il
act
domani.
now
Se dunque al futuro che abbiamo il dovere morale di guardare è certamente al
through some
presente che
moral
dobbiamo agire,
aspects. So we
un
need to
presente che
take a
deve
look
lasciarsi
at our
ispirare
present
da un pensiero
situation.
globale di
We
appartenenza
should
al
be
tutto
inspired by
e operare agendo localmente come parte di quel
our
tutto.
present.
Così la
in order
direzione
to be
morale
part of
deve lasciarsi
everything.
ispirare dalla volontà di
And the
contribuire al
moral
benessere del mondo e della
aspect
natura in generale,
has to contribute to the
agendo
well-being
conseguentemente nel locale,
of
nella terra dove
everyone and
si è
to the
nati,
wealth of our
dove si
world.
vive e nella quale inevitabilmente e
We should be
naturalmente
linked to
si
our
percepisce
land
maggiormente
because
il
in
senso
our
di
land we can
appartenenza.
understand our
Così mi piace
feeling
chiudere questa mia riflessione ricordando
of
le parole del poeta francese Jacques
participation.
Villiers, che nel 1829, dopo aver
And in
effettuato un'escursione sull'Etna, partendo dalla città di Catania, dove alloggiava scrive: non c'è nulla di più bello, non dico in Sicilia, ma in Europa, delle campagne cananesi. Questa terra di fuoco è di una fertilità meravigliosa, ma non è la fertilità piatta ed uniforme della Lombardia o della Valenza. La terra qui arricchisce l'uomo, incantandone la sua vista. Da qualunque lato la si contempli, questa natura è piena di magie. Essa sfugge per la varietà delle scene, per l'imprevisto dei paesaggi, alla monotonia di un sublime troppo ripetuto. Infatti essa ha in sé tutti gli elementi dei grandi paesaggi, il mare, i boschi, la pianura, la montagna e questa montagna è l'Etna. Parole queste che entrano nel cuore di ciascuno di noi. Parole sulle quali riflettere per non dimenticare il nostro compito di uomini che operiamo ogni quotidiano. Così dal coltivatore all'imprenditore, dall'uomo politico all'uomo religioso, dal ricercatore agli insegnanti che lavorano nelle scuole e nelle università, tutti siamo chiamati in causa per difendere la nostra dimora e consegnarla al meglio ai nostri nipoti.
Heritage and to give that to our nephews, to our grandchildren. Thanks.
Grazie, io darei la parola a questo punto a Roberto Gaudio che ci parlerà delle caratteristiche.
Thank you. Now we give the floor to Roberto Gaudio, who will talk about the features of heroic, structurally difficult vine growing. So we need well-defined parameters. What are the features of vine growing in which we are interested? There are 4 features which concern us, but 4 features which must not be present at the same time. One is needed. So the presence on the land higher than 30% in altitude, higher than 500 meters, or systems on terraces and the systems of the small islands. So in some areas of Europe, these 4 features are present. I give the example of Canary Islands, because for the first time I went to Canary Islands, I said, Valle d'Aosta is the highest vine growing in Europe, because it's 1,200 meters. And my colleague here was laughing because in Canary Islands, the minor islands of Sicily, this year Pantesco tree has been recognized as UNESCO heritage. These are all important recognitions. This is another vineyard in Pantelleria, and just to give you an example, you see conservation of biodiversity. These are indigenous vine varieties. So quickly, here we can see the areas in which this vine growing, mountain vine growing is present. You see in Germany, Renania-Palatinado, Austria, Spain, Galicia, Catalonia, and Canary Islands. In France, we have the center of France and the southwest of France. In Portugal, Douro, Madeira, Azore, in Switzerland, and Greek islands. And these are the areas in which this type of vine growing is known. We can say that there are not many Italian regions where this type of vine growing is not present. There are only two regions, that is Puglia and Basilicata, which don't have it. This is a very schematic list of this type of vine growing. The important thing is that it affects 5-6% of the total vine growing in Europe. Quickly, the objectives of CERVIM. So this vine growing must be known at institutional level. It must be recognized because of its peculiarity. It must be valorized and protected. All these areas are present. It is not a museal vine growing because these are quality productions, and in all those states the production is recognized because we are talking about origin appellation. So there are some economic realities which are important, and first of all, the common factor of all these areas in all countries, in France, in Canary Islands, in Greece, in Italy, is that these areas are characterized by high tourist activity. So the maintenance of the conservation of the landscape is fundamental and strategic. So now we have the Spanish name just for my friend Pedro. So CERVIM has presented this collective brand, which is not a brand of recognition of quality because there are other bodies which certify quality. This is a collective brand of belonging. So this brand, Viticultura Eolica. So I conclude my presentation with the same picture. Thank you. Thank you, Roberto. Now,
chiaramente gli aspetti che tu ci hai ricordato si integrano perfettamente con quello della prima relazione, i rapporti.
So the relationship between citizens, nature, and knowledge, all these three elements create the conditions to develop specific adjustments, especially to vine growing in this case. Another speech on vine growing by Elisabetta Nicolosi, who's going to talk about vine growing on Etna. Filippo Ferrito, between innovation and tradition. Very interesting aspects. Thank you, Filippo. Good evening, everyone. So I will show you the management of vineyards in the past and the management of today. First of all, it is necessary to say something about the relationship between the vine and Etna. This is very ancient. The Etna is the only region in Italy which has archaeological findings which date back a very old time. At economic level, vine was grown until the end of the 19th century until Piana di Catania and Ionian coast. The sector was so important that it extended up to 1400 meters above the sea level, and so it justified the construction of some structures such as the railway, which reached the sea level. Today, vine growing on the Etna matches the production area of Etna Dock, but with some management and agronomic characters which are completely different. In the northern part, there is more than 50% of vine growing is characterized by an intensive management, more intensive management, whereas in the eastern part, even if in the last few years there has been the conquest of new territories to use for vine growing, there are still many traditional terracing, and so a traditional management which is going to be lost. Vine growing was almost lost in the southern part of the Etna, but in the last few years there has been a recovery also for the wines which are produced here. As for the area, the plant, it was made on land which had to be fixed through some terracing. The pictures speak by themselves. They are magnificent works. Many of these terracing are being abandoned, but especially in the eastern part, they exist. These are the tools which were used. So everything was done manually. The stones, at least those that could be removed, were built up somewhere, and there were specialized people who used these stones to build some buildings that we can still find, and to build some little streets in the vineyard. This is a recovery of terracing and extension of terracing. There are still some producers who can realize these magnificent works. As Mr. Cadio was saying before the arrival of the Philosopher, the plants were almost always created by using material rooted on the ground, and then there was the graft, which is done at the end of the summer, and at the end, finally, grafted barbatella is done also for terraced grounds. The rootstocks were the Rupestris Dulot or Monticola, and today we have many, and up to some years ago we only have these two rootstocks, but now we have the 110 Richter and some other rootstocks. In the past, vine was planted as a tree with orders of 25.80 centimeters. Today, the tree is planted at 1 meter times 1 meter, 1 meter 0.9. At the bottom of the slide, you can see some photos of other types of tree, just to show you how the same tree can be interpreted on the Etna in a different way compared to other areas, such as the Syracuse area or the center of the island. For cultural, historical, and social reasons, and also depending on the type of the ground, of the land. So then there is another the contour spaliera. The pruning is some vine vineyards are not indigenous, and so the counter espalier uses as a system some concrete posts. Some companies more environment friendly are using wood posts or zinc posts, and a double thread is used to place the plant. The pruning is short in the case of the tree, and they were pruned in the past. They were pruned at two bands. In the past, so now there are other habits, and pruning is done according to these habits rather than according to a special agronomic scheme. So there's no clarity on how the pruning should be managed on the Etna. Maybe this is the most interesting aspect of the historical management, that is the management of the land. Here you can see all the operations which in the past were done on a vineyard during the winter. Posts were eliminated, were removed, and then there were other operations which involved the old plant. There was the sowing of lupin and the holes where manure was placed, and many other operations where four operations were performed. They were done manually. These are the names. Here every vine was characterized by four little mountains, and here we can see another two working. Today the working is mechanized in this way. Of course, there are other companies which use different machines which are more evolved. And here are some pictures. Of lupine. Here we can see some vine varieties which were found by our university. This is the Nerello Cappuccio or Mantellato. I put two question marks because some pieces of research have questioned the identity, but it is very appreciated. The Caricante, which is expanding a lot, especially at highest altitude. I conclude with a photo of the grape harvest, but there have been a lot of changes. The management of the grape has changed a lot. Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you so much. Now let's move to the next speech on viticulture, especially the viticulture in the minor island of Sicily. Antonio Sparaccio will tell us something about this particular agriculture. Thank you so much, first of all, for the invitation. I'm sorry that we are not in the auditorium because maybe this topic deserved more space in terms of physical space and time. But I wanted to say something because the minor islands are very important for the ethnological point of view. A well-known ethnologist, Giacomo Tadonis, says that the islands are a good land for wine. And then he also says that in the island there are some rare elements that are the real heritage of the ethnology history. And these let us understand the importance that we give to the island in the context of agriculture and ethnology.
Prendendo come spunto un po' quello che aveva detto anche il dottor Gaudio per quanto riguarda
considering what Mr. Gaudio said on heroic agriculture, we as institution succeeded into finding heroic zones, areas of viticulture in Sicily. So areas in the big islands as well as in the other small islands. I will try to sum up the agriculture in the minor islands, and we will talk about the Aeolian Islands, Ustica, the Egadi and Marcia Islands, and then Pantelleria and the Pelagie Islands. Because from the point of view of the viticulture, they are very interesting concerning the potential aspects. Starting from the Aeolian, there are 7 islands, approximately 111 square kilometers. They have a volcanic origin, and they have more than 90,000 years of history of their formation. From the archaeological point of view, apart from the presence of man that is more recent, talking about the presence of vines, there are some excavations that let emerge the presence of vines of 500 years before Christ. And we find this vine variety in the Aeolian, especially in the island of Salina, the island of Lipari, Volcano, and also Stromboli, because in the past, in Stromboli, there was a huge activity on dried grapes, and these grapes were sold to the traders of Lipari and then sold in the rest of Italy and in Sicily especially. Talking about Salina, we have the biggest quantity of vine varieties, especially in 3 municipalities, Marfalena and Santa Marina, and the most important feature of viticulture in the Aeolian Islands is the fact of using lands with a volcanic origin. They are very soft, that do not have a big layer in terms of thickness and have a lack of water. So it's a dried cultivation that in the past used this little small tree that then became a pergola, and in the end it became a counter-espalier. And in the 18th century, the counter-espalier was already used. So we have old presences of these activity in the island. So we can see this here, the system of the vineyards. They are on the hill, and they feel the presence of the mountains surrounding the vineyard yards. And here I put a picture on the kind of pruning, because when we talk about the Aeolian Islands, we address the Malvasia vineyard of Aeolian Island. There's
che comprende tre tipologie, la tipologia
denomination of origin of Malvasia.
In termini proprio
And
velocemente anche di
rapidly, in
tanto per
terms
dare
of
un'idea
figures,
di quello che
just to give you an
è
idea
il quantitativo
of
di
the
prodotto
quantity of
viene
products
fatto su questo tipo
made on these kind of
di denominazione di origine, essendo noi come istituto anche organismo di
origin
controllo e certificazione dei vini in
denomination.
Sicilia,
We
abbiamo
are an
un corso della
institution
situazione
for the control of wines in
e
Sicily,
immaginate che solo
and
Malvasia
imagine
quindi
that
le tre tipologie nel 2014 sono state
as to the
bottigliate
three
soltanto
kinds of
283
Malvasia of
tonni di
Lipari,
prodotto.
we
Molto
had
altro prodotto va a finire nella IGT Salina
a
e il
huge
resto anche
quantity
nella
of
Mossi.
product.
Ci sono 221
There are
ettari solo della
221
tipologia
hectoliters of the Passito type of wine, and then 20 companies, 15 inside of the islands and 5
Il
outside.
clima è abbastanza
The
caldo e
weather
asciutto, vi ho
is,
riportato un po' questi numeri tanto per dare un'idea
dry,
di quella che è la situazione.
and I brought you some figures to give you the idea of the situation. It's interesting
e poi
the effect of related to the rains and the annual water deficit that is quite important. Here we have some figures on the surfaces. On Salina 125 hectares and in Lipari 45 hectares. We have a black vineyard in the production of Malvasia of Lipari, and we have other native vineyards like the Catarrato, the Inzolia, and other kinds of vineyards in the island. So what we can outline is the practical thing that these vineyards are old in terms of age. The mechanization is weak, is not that advanced. There's one property that is in parcels, and there's difficulty to find agricultural deep farmers for the agriculture. So, talking about Ustica rapidly, this is a very small reality but very interesting because it's an island in the north of the Tyrrhenian Sea, above Palermo, maybe 26 miles of distance, and it's an island that in the past was defined by the Romans as Ustum, so burnt, because the origin of this island is a volcanic origin in the line between Alicudi and Filicudi.
Su Ustica,
so talking about Ustica, the weather, especially the part of the sea, changed and shaped the landscape. We can only find 5 hectares of vineyards in the areas of Tramontana and Spalmatore. Here we can find the examples of viticulture with an espalier, dried espalier, with the vineyards represented by Zibibbo Catarratto Grillo, of an old vine variety, and the Albanello. The weather is Mediterranean. And for the Egadi, we talk about Favignana, that is an island where the vineyards are now used. There's just one company that cultivates these 5 hectares in the south and western part of the island. Not far from the sea, with the main characteristic, the main feature to be inserted in an habitat that is quite dry. We have vine varieties as the Grillo, the Zibibbo, and other red vine varieties.
Perricone e anche
Then we have the
il
Perricone, for
Nervavola.
example, and the
Qui vedete
Nervavola.
innanzitutto il discorso
Here you
che
can see
c'è la salinità
the
è quella che in un certo
possibility
senso va
of the
a
salt
condizionare moltissimo la
feature that
Allora, su Mozart
has some
soltanto per dire che
consequences
il
on
vigneto è
this
entrato dopo un
viticulture.
po' di anni
The
con
vineyard
soprattutto la possibilità di essere
has been
utilizzato un
connected
vecchio
to the
vigneto che era
possibility
presente
to be
come il
used
Grillo.
with the
Attualmente
Grillo
c'è soltanto
variety.
un'azienda che
Today we have
sta
just
coltivando
one
e sta
company
utilizzando
that
il vigneto, sono circa
uses
8 ettari.
this
Questa è
vineyard,
un'attività che
approximately
noi avevamo
8
fatto
hectares. This
diversi
was an
anni fa per il
activity
recupero
that
del
we
vigneto
carried out
che
a few
si stava
years
perdendo.
ago
Su
for
Pantelleria
vine
mi
variety that
soffermo
were
soltanto
getting
sul
lost.
discorso, ecco vedete un po' questa è la situazione su Pantelleria, come d'altronde aveva anche accennato il dottor Gaudio, con i gradoni,
So here we can see
la presenza
Pantelleria
umana
with
per
the human
per i
presence
terrassamenti,
for
si
the
fa tutto ovviamente a mano, dalla
terracing.
calzatura
We
delle
make
piante
everything by
fino ad
hand.
arrivare alla raccolta, il tipico alberello pandesco che è molto
Towards the
strisciante per
harvest,
terra per diverse
there's this
ragioni,
typical tree
per salvaguardare soprattutto i grappoli e per farli maturare. Molto
that allows a
velocemente,
good
l'ultima
maturation
parte,
of
sulle Pelagie,
clusters of grapes.
lì,
Then the
Lampedusa
Pelagie
e
Island,
Linosa,
Lampedusa
sulle quali
and
noi abbiamo
Linosa,
fatto una grandissima
where
attività
we
di
worked a lot
sperimentazione.
from an experimental point of
Eccola
view,
qua, soprattutto Linosa, dove è presente
especially Linosa,
una
where we
parcellizzazione
find
soprattutto a livello di proprietà
a
e
fragmentation
di
at
presenza
the
di
level
vigneto che è
of
utilizzato
presence
soprattutto
of
per autoconsumo.
vine
Con questo
variety
progetto che
used
qua
for
partecipato
the
anche in parte
self-consumption.
dall'Università di
This
Catania. Noi
project
siamo
was made in
riusciti a far
cooperation with
entrare
the
il
University
vigneto
of
su
Catania,
Linosa perché con
and we succeeded
la
into
dottoressa Barrese
having
poco fa parlava
a
anche
vine
di
variety in
provvedimenti, siamo
Linosa,
riusciti ad avere
and we succeeded
un
into
bando per i
having
diritti
a
di
tender
impianti in
for
via
the
prioritaria.
rights
All'isola
of free
Pelagie sono stati
installation,
assegnati circa
and in
4
the
ettari
Pelagie
che potranno
Island
essere
we
utilizzati dai viticoltori che sono lì.
have
Questo è il vigneto
4
che abbiamo noi
hectares
di
that could be
Linosa,
used.
con lo Zibibbo
Here we have the
principalmente.
Zibibbo.
E poi ringrazio
And
queste
then
aziende
I would
che
like to
avevano
thank
fornito
all
un
these
po'
companies
le diapositive, il
that
personale anche
gave
dell'istituto
the
perché mi ha dato una mano
slides
per
and the staff
mettere
of
su
the
un po' la
institution
presentazione. Grazie.
who helped me in my presentation. Thank you.
Grazie. Andiamo
Thank you.
velocemente.
Now, rapidly, I give the floor
Al
to
dottor Pedro Pino
Mr.
Perez, che
Pedro Pino
ringraziamo
Perez,
particolarmente per essere qua, del
and I
Dipartimento di
thank him
Agricoltura
for
e
being
Culturale
here from the
delle Isole
Department of Rural Development of the Canary Islands.
Muchas gracias. Yo voy a hablar en español despacito.
Yes.
Yo creo que nos entendemos todos a alguna palabra especial. Y si es el caso, pues la traduciremos al inglés o Roberto la traducirá al italiano. Bueno, yo soy el director general de Agricultura del Gobierno de Canarias y entre otras competencias llevo la regulación
Mi ha
de la
detto prima, ha
plantación
detto
y
volendo
la
faccio.
recogida, envasado. Nosotros en Canarias tenemos una legislación especial al respecto de la Unión Europea, fitosanitaria, que nos hace un país tercero desde ese punto de vista. Es decir, no puede entrar uva de fuera de Canarias para hacer vino, solo para consumo de mesa. Ahí tienen el mapa de España en todas las provincias y comunidades autónomas. Es un país con estructura cuasi federal, tiene 17 comunidades autónomas o estados federales y en todas se produce. De hecho, la mancha central marrón de Brauan es la extensión de viña más grande que hay en el mundo ahora mismo. Nosotros estamos abajo en la esquina, pero geográficamente no estamos ahí, estamos más abajo, estamos enfrente del Sáhara, de Mauritania, por debajo de Marruecos. Estamos a 2.500 kilómetros de Madrid, a bastantes más de aquí, como 5.000 o 6.000 por lo menos de Milán. Como ven, somos nos da para atrás, sí. Somos 7 islas y se produce uva en 6, menos Fuerteventura, que es una isla semidesierta, de clima desértico. Ahí tradicionalmente no hay uva. Las superficies plantadas en España son muy importantes. Productores, el segundo exportador mundial y el primero en superficie plantada y el tercero por producción. Nosotros en Canarias somos muy pequeñitos con respecto a España, somos solo el 2% de la producción del monstruo que es España, pero sin embargo tenemos la mayor riqueza genética de todo el viñedo español. Ahí tienen las provincias que más producen y yo me voy a centrar en... Tenemos 67 denominaciones de origen en España y nosotros en Canarias tenemos 11 denominaciones de origen. Ya ven que en un territorio tan pequeño que no llega a 7.000 kilómetros cuadrados, pues tenemos 11 denominaciones de origen, porque cada zona y cada isla tiene unas plantas totalmente diferentes a la que está enfrente y un clima totalmente diferente, con lo cual no tiene nada que ver. ¿Me entienden, no? Es muy diferente el vino de la isla de Lanzarote al respecto del vino de Gran Canaria. Por eso tenemos una denominación en cada isla, más una isla que tiene 5, y ahora hemos creado una general para que aquellas viñedos que ahora se autoriza coger uva de todas las islas y embotellar con esa denominación general. Canarias entró el vino desde el siglo XIV y siglo XV, con lo cual tenemos viñas de hace más de 5 siglos plantadas, no tuvimos filoxera y es la riqueza genética que tenemos. Y nosotros desde Canarias se envió vino a Inglaterra y a Estados Unidos. Se dice que se brindó la independencia de Estados Unidos con vino Malvasía de Canarias, y Shakespeare también hablaba del Canary Wine, que era el vino que venía de la isla de La Palma en particular, que es un vino, es un Malvasía pero dulce, naturalmente dulce, sin añadido alcohólico. Esas son fotos antiguas de cómo se hacía la venta de vinos en ese momento. Canarias tiene reconocidos, estudiados, 23 variedades autóctonas únicas del territorio canario. Esa fue el primer estudio que se hizo hace 3 o 4 años. Creemos que hay por lo menos 4 o 5 más que hay que seguir estudiando, pero ya eso solo supone una riqueza muy importante. Y encontramos desniveles, que ya veremos fotos, incluso del 70%. Y la altitud, pues tenemos viñedos a casi 1.900 metros de altura sobre el nivel del mar, con climas que van desde los 2-3 grados bajo cero hasta los 30 o 32 grados en verano. Eso solo lo soportan viñedos que están especialmente hechos al clima y al terreno. Ahí tenemos una producción por isla, y para que se hagan una idea de lo que producimos, en la declaración de cosecha de 2014, pues vemos que el total de kilos para denominación de origen, vino de calidad, fueron 12,5 millones de kilos de uva. Creemos que hay otros 12 millones de kilos para consumo y para venta no como DO, sino para venta de vino de mesa. Y vemos que de ahí se comercializa 9,5 millones de litros de vino con denominación de origen. Estas son las islas que producen y hay unas diferencias muy importantes. Las islas grandes como Tenerife, una isla que tiene 1.200 kilómetros cuadrados, no sé cuántos kilómetros tendrá Sicilia, pero 25 veces más seguramente. pues esa isla produce casi el 50% de la producción de las islas. Y luego hay islas muy pequeñitas, como el Hierro, que produce pues 88.000, o sea, 223.000 litros al año. Tenemos, ya digo, 11 denominaciones de origen y ahí tienen las uvas típicas de Canarias. Entre ellas, las autóctonas, yo les podría decir de Albillo criollo, la castellana negra, la forastera blanca, el almuñeco, la malvasía aromática, malvasía volcánica, es muy parecida a la malvasía que tienen ustedes en el Mediterráneo, es una uva seca, pero muy aromática. El sabro y la tintilla y el berijadiego, en blancos, uvas blancas. Y en uvas tintas, las autóctonas, el bastardo o baboso, a ver si veo alguno por ahí, y el berijadiego también. Ahí tienen las uvas más cultivadas. Listán negro y listán blanco son las más cultivadas, son las típicas en blanco o en tinto de nuestra cosecha, y luego tienen los porcentajes, son muy pequeñitos, de variedades específicas, pero se está trabajando en vino monovarietal de una sola uva y se está incrementando la cosecha. Esos son los logos de las 11 denominaciones de origen. Y aquí hay una explicación por cada isla que no les voy a reiterar, pero ya digo que cada isla tiene su especialidad. Este es el Hierro, esto es una isla muy pequeñita. Como curiosidad, les diré que es la primera isla del mundo autoeficiente energéticamente, con energía eólica, solar e hidráulica. La Gomera, La Palma, Lanzarote, Tenerife, estas son las denominaciones de origen de Tenerife. Y estas son fotos de algunas, ahí en particular estuvo Roberto y algunos más, y Arraputo también, sí, en la isla de La Palma. Ahí estamos a 1800 metros de altura. Por debajo de nosotros está la niebla, las nubes. Esa es otra zona también de montaña. Ven pequeñas terrazas. Esto es Lanzarote, es un terreno volcánico como Sicilia, y el hoyo se hace para evitar el viento y además para que capte la humedad, el agua de la noche, porque ahí no hay agua. Eso es un volcán de hace 3 siglos que no crece sino eso. Vean las terrazas estas excavadas. Esto es una particularidad de la isla de Tenerife. Se llama cordón trenzado, trenza. Y esas parras tienen pues 3 siglos. Y desde hace 3 siglos, 3 centurias, se van haciendo, miden 50, 60 metros. Y así se va ahorrando. La particularidad es que entre parra y parra, en el suelo, se siembran papas, patatas, boniatos, a la vez. Ahí ven los problemas que pasa este señor, al hombro, con una caja. Bueno, esto ya, aquí hay que ser alpinista. Y para hacer la casa aquella hay que subir el material. Miren la montaña al fondo, cómo está trazada. Y luego también tenemos zonas normales. Sí. Ahí tenemos algunas explotaciones. Y ahora les voy a enseñar la mía. Esta es la mía. Está la mía en La Palma, ahí tiene la plantación, la viña mía. Mira que es la niebla, que le llaman la cascada. Y esa es. Sí. Y yo me identifico mucho con la intervención del señor, con las islas menores. No tenemos los mismos problemas, poca mecanización, propiedades muy pequeñitas, relevo generacional, se abandonan, los hijos no ven rentabilidad, y sobre todo el problema de el traslado, el transporte. Las botellas hay que comprar en península, mucho más caro. El vender el vino hay que transportarlo en barco, es muy caro. Bueno, cualquier cosa que necesiten, ahí les dejo el PEN y estoy a su disposición. Si el correo electrónico también lo tienen por si quieren en cualquier momento ponerse en contacto conmigo. Gracias.
Grazie. Do la parola al professor Nicolas Nicolau della Facoltà di Agricoltura dell'Università della Grecia.
University of Greece, Salonico.
Thanks for the presentation. Before starting, let me give some about the council in Greece. There are 115,000 hectares of grapevine.
Professor Nicolas, could you wait for a minute because someone has a need hearing? Just a moment.
Okay. Only one. Okay. Because they informed.
Okay. Thank you. Sir.
Okay. The last 50 years,
Negli ultimi anni i vigneti totali sono aumentati di circa il 50% a causa dell'applicazione di una politica agricola che promuovesse l'agricoltura nel paese, e questa è legata a una situazione socio-economica e alle opportunità di lavoro legate alle terre e al settore turistico. Nel catalogo nazionale greco ci sono 300 varietà, delle quali 47 sono internazionali. Potete vedere qui le varietà di vino straniere in Grecia, Spagna, Francia e Italia. Ci sono anche 33 zone PDO, DOP, con 6 varietà straniere, circa 646 IGP, prodotti IGP. Quindi la Grecia ha
Greece has about 3,000 islands, of which 150 are inhabited. Except the two larger islands, Crete and Evia, the others are grouped geographically in 4 groups. You can see the Dodecanese, the Cyclades in the center, the Northern Aegean, and the Ionian Island. A general characteristic for the soil and climate, the soil are characterized by low fertility with low organic matter and water storage capacity, unproductive for other cultivated species. The rainfall is very low, limited to winter period, with hot and drought summer months. So the vine and olive are of the main plant species cultivated in these small islands. Except of the low soil fertility, sometimes the islands are subjected to strong winds, which can damage the vine and the grapes. So the general training system is the goblet system with variability in Trondheim. Some of the most important varieties have erected shoots, and the others with the horizontal or dropping shoots and tightened in the tip of the shoots, as you can see in the right-hand picture. Concerning the effect of the sea, you know that the sea consists in a large water body that affect the temperatures and humidity. Hot and drought summers facilitate drying. It is well known that drying was an early application for resin and sweet production in this region. Drying takes place on a specially suitable surface called Lyastra, which is the Illystrion of antiquity. The wines which result from the vinification of those grapes are called Lyasto. You can see here the drying grapes in the place near the vineyards and the neighboring fields. Concerning the wine products, we have in the small islands dry white and red wines, natural sweet and semi-sweet wines by ending alcohols, natural sweet wines produced by partially drying grapes under the sun, Sultanina and Blanco in resin, tape grapes, and other products. We can see now some of the most important regions, and I try to limit my presentation to for 10 minutes. And starting from Crete. Crete is the larger islands situation in the southern part of the Aegean Sea. In Crete, we have Sultanina resin production, 6 PDO wine product zones, and also the production of grape tables. You can see the terrain of a viticultural region of Crete. Was always the center of the production of Sultanina resin in our country. In our days, Sultanina vines surface about 1,200 hectares with a respective production of 100 tons of resin sec. You can see here the two important zones for the Sultanina resin production. The vines for resin production are goblet trained and long pruned. Grapes harvested at full maturity and dried under the sun after an alkaline oil emulsion to enhance drying. You can see here the place of drying near the vineyard, and for the dipping in alkali solution, the alkaline solution is prepared by adding 5 to 6 kilograms of potassium carbonate, hydrated potassium carbonate, in 100 liters of water, plus a liter of vegetable oil. Grapes are put in perforated metallic or plastic baskets and deepened in alkali solution for 2-3 times. You can see here the perforated buckets plain with grapes to deepen in alkali solution, and the grapes stretched on the ground for drying, or hanged in a trellis system. Sometimes they are covered for rainfall protection. After the drying, the resins go to the industry for elaboration. Concerning the tape grapes, there are a center also Crete of tape grapes production. You can see here from the left to the right, the Regina, Sultanina, and some new hybrids. Concerning the PDO zones, we have the zone Archanes, Peza, Handaka, Malvasia, Setia, and Malvasia, Handakas, where are producing dry white and red wines and sweet wines. You can see the varieties for red wines, Mandilaria, Liatico, Cocefali, and for white wines, the Muscat Blanc and Villana. near the Crete is the Rhodos Islands. What is interesting with the Rhodos Islands is that this region was the pioneering region for sparkling wine production in Greece. Of about 1928, Italian businessmen founded the Cair company for sparkling wines production. 20 years later, this company have been sold to Greeks after the fan of Second World Wars. You know that Dodecanese were assigned to Italy by the end of First World War, according to the Treaty of Lausanne. After the fan of the Second World War, the Dodecanese passed to Greece, incorporated to Greece. So this wine company have sold to Greek businessmen. The main varieties of the Rhodos is Athiri, which is used to produce the sparkling wines, and Madilaria, a red wine for red variety for red wine production, and in a lesser extent Muscat Blanc. You can see here the Rhodos vineyard in two zones: the mountainous zones in slopes and in terraces, and the plain region. The vines are trained in gobelet and also in cordon system. You can see here the main varieties of the Rhodos is Athiri, Madilaria, and Muscat Blanc. The next important island is the Samos. Samos is the eastern place of Greece, and is an important region for wine production, because they're producing sweet wines and some, in lesser extent, the dry wines. The most important region is the western slopes of Mountain Ambelos, where the vines are planted in terraces, as you can see here, from up to 900 meters of altitude, and sometimes arrives until the seaside. The main varieties of Samos as Muscat Blanc for sweet and dry white wines, and the Focciano, another variety which is used to produce red wines in this island. You can see here the drying of the grapes under the sun to produce the sweet wines. Another important island is Santorini. You know Santorini as a touristic destination, but is very interested for wine production. It has a distinctly Mediterranean climate with high temperatures, low precipitation, and high humidity during the season, the growing season. The soil is relatively new, derived by the last volcanic explosion of Santorini and 1770 BC, composed by volcanic ash and rocks. So the soil is sandy, very poor, with very low organic matter and clay particles. The island is subjected always to strong northern winds, so the vines are trained low in this particular training system called Koulouria, that means basket. you can see here the wood in many layers and the shoots of low vigor where the grapes are protected inside the ring for the strong winds during the vegetation period. So I have to finish. Okay, I have enough time to show all these cases of the wine production in Greek islands. We can see here the place of drying grapes near the wineries, or sometimes on the rooftops, as you can see here in Santorini Island. Rooftops are used to collect water during the rainfall period of winter in the underground tanks, and during the summer are used also for drying grapes. In Paros and other islands with the particular training system Aplotaries, where the shoots creeps on the ground. The main varieties Mandilaria and Monemvasia. I call it Retsina wine, but it's not time. Retsina wine is a particular wine produced by ending resin of pine trees. You can see here the resin collector from pine trees is ended to wine in a proportion of 100 grams per hectoliter and give a particular taste. The varieties used for Retsina are Savatiano and Roditis, are very, very productive varieties, particularly Savatiano, and in fertile and deep soils, the yield can arrive over of 30 tons per hectare. And other cases of islands, I want to show only a particular case for Thasos Island. Is an island without any interest in our date, but it have an archaeological interest because there revealed archaeological excavation reveals the first law for trade and wine quality inscribed on a marble inscription. You can see here the first law from for trade and wine quality of 480 BC. I have not enough time to continue, so I want to. Oh, I want to thank you again.
30 seconds.
And, okay.
Grazie dell'interesse.
Thank you for the very interesting presentation. We have seen how viticulture follows heroic productions, especially of minor islands. An interesting speech will be given by Elisabetta Nicolos, who is going to talk about the biodiversity heritage of fruit growing in the Etna region. Elisabetta, please be quick. Thank you. As Professor D'Amico was saying, on the Etna there is also fruit growing which is part of the heroic growing. As Professor said, we have a very important heritage in our territory. So before talking about biodiversity in fruits, I'd like to say that it is agrobiodiversity. So the intervention of man, of people, have marked the biodiversity of the territory with the different population, the different species selected, the uses, customs, and traditions which have affected biodiversity, as it is indicated on the role of agrobiodiversity. I would just like to quote to mention these two quotations by Stefano Iacchini in the relation of 1884 on memory around the conditions of agriculture and agricultural class. He says the soil is almost all cultivated except the part which used to be cultivated, but the eruption of the Etna devastated it. But when it starts to have land, the owner is ready in order to give life to the lost property. So this means the attachment of farmers to start a new agriculture, even when Etna devastated the territory. So we have spoken about mountain ecosystems for viticulture, but also for fruit. And the fruit plants are the ones which allow the territory to be stable. Of course, this type of mountain fruit growing has developed where it was not possible to develop intensive fruit growing, and so with the conservation of our old varieties, which are an important heritage of knowledge, which can distinguish this heritage from the industrial fruit growing. These resources are subject to the erosion of territories, as we know, but they must be enhanced just in the view of a sustainable development and multifunctionality. And so the agricultural activity in these areas, which are mountain areas, are important to keep and preserve these landscapes, and they are the guardians of the territory, because we know that because we know that lands are abandoned. And so there is genetic erosion with the loss of genetic resources, but also the loss of the knowledge of genetic resources, because if we lose the identity and the memory, it is difficult to transfer these resources. What can be the role of this fruit growing, which is a niche fruit growing? It has a multifunctional role, not only for food production, but just because of what we said, it protects the natural heritage. It has a very high value in terms of landscape. And this is thanks to the area of Etna mountain can host there are several typical production because of the different climates we have on the territory, thanks to the history of human presence, thanks to its geographical position. So we can host this typical production. We have productions which can refer to special productions of fruits, but we also have minor fruit species, as we can see in this slide. So different fruit types of fruit. All these productions have a strong link with the territory, and some of them can be considered natural seeds. So agrobiodiversity is thanks to man, but some of these seeds can be natural. Here we can see some of the main varieties. We know they are citrus, olive, vine, and we can see the Etna at the center, and we can see how this fruit, how these products where these products are placed. So we have olives in the northern part and the western part, and we have vine which surrounds the Etna. Of course, these are not the varieties that we want to talk about. Here we can see the different sowings which was done on the presence of agrobiodiversity with several species placed in our island. These are the districts which have been considered, and 2,215 examples of agrobiodiversity. Here we can see the main species which fall within agrobiodiversity, so cherry, apple and pears, and I will show you the ancient varieties. I want to highlight the fact that some of the species which were detected on the territory have been put in the collection, and this is very important to transfer them and to have them in the future because they could be lost. This is a collection of the germplasm bank, which is in Nicolosi, and we have many of the selected species. And I'd like to highlight the fact that together with the region, we have published this book in which we include the ancient fruits of the Etna. So we have prepared the morphological characterization of the main varieties found on the territory: cherry, apple tree, pear tree. So these are the most ancient ones. And this is a great biodiversity, these different colors of cherries, which do not have a big extension, but they are present on the territory and they characterize the different environments around the Etna. So these are all the different the different species, the different names in the different areas where they have been found. They are characterized from a molecular and morphological point of view. So there is a calendar of maturation from early or late. So this is important for us. This is the typical cherry of the Etna, which is called Don Antoni or Mastrantoni, which is the most common one. And in the book I was mentioning, we have some technical sheets with the description and details on the flowering and so on. And among the ancient varieties, we can find, for example, on the left, this is a vineyard where there is this cherry tree which has habitus procumbente. So this could be interesting for any genetic improvement. And we have also the Punta Lazzese, which is very interesting, and it could be used for to cross species. Here within a citrus grove, we have another cherry tree. So there are many weaknesses. Together with the traditional cherry growing, there is an innovative cherry growing. Here, different trials are done on the different rootstock. And let's say the apple trees. So they have been characterized, and these are the different species we find on the Etna. Of course, they are different from the commercial ones we are used to find in the supermarkets. So these have been found in the different territories. This is the cola, the gelata, which are very special for the presence of a white pulp, and so on. So they are all different. They are all on our territory and have morphological features which are different. They have different size. This is very small. It's a 3 centimeter. So the snow market is just a niche market. And this is the content of polyphenols. An important study has been carried out on this topic by our department on the content of polyphenols in these apples compared to a commercial apple, a golden apple. We have seen that the content is very high, especially on the skin, because many health elements are on the skin. The same work has been carried out on the pear tree, so you can see how many varieties we have in special breeding, because the conditions are the same as the conditions of vineyards. So these species have been found in special and difficult areas. And finally, the last two products. This is prune. This is plum, which is cultivated in a very special condition, or a nectarina, which is called smercio bianco, so a peach without a peel, and it is found in the midst of cherry trees. So the role of biodiversity can be agronomic, can be for the improvement, the genetic improvement, and in many territories they are important as a tradition. And this is another quotation from a book where we can read important stories of the Vulcan. It was written by Salvatore Polvirenti, who writes I was 8 when I spent my first summers in the countryside. I lost my mother, and so my father took me to our property in Emilia. I didn't know where to leave me, and my help was useful for him. At that time, fruit was original. In 1944, 5 kilos of pears or apples were enough to pay the day of a worker. In the post-war time, there was such a demand of fruit of the Etna that you could not take it to the market. After the war, all Butire pears were bought by Palermo people, inhabitants. In 1974, I rented a shop, and I started to sell all over Sicily. I recalled the fruit grove of Milia. So in the 90s, I started to cultivate the land and to sell the product. And from them, I have customers who come every week and do buy fruit from me. They want to buy the apples, gelato, cola, so all these special fruit. Now I'm old and I need help to cultivate my property, but I'm grateful for the beautiful experiences I had during my life. So if this culture of this man is not transferred, everything will finish and our sector will disappear. But we hope it will not disappear.
Ora viene il
speech, so I have to stick on the time at my disposal. So I have to check the time for myself. Another interesting species on the Etna is pistachio. The pistachio, which is characterized which was introduced between the 6th and the 9th century after Christ in Sicily. It is cultivated in the Pistachia vera species. During this the Terebinthus lentiscum, it has some features which are typical of this territory. It is cultivated on 3,500 hectares in the limited areas, western part of the Etna, Bronte, Adrano, Biancavilla. It is characterized because by the fact that it is known as Bronte's pistachio because of the town which gives the name to the designation of protected origin of pistachio di Bronte. The main cultivation, Pistachia vera, almost 95% of the total cultivation. As you see, the cultivation takes place in extremely difficult conditions. The trees are cultivated in the midst, in the center of the stones, where these trees developed. They have low trees, and during the winter they are very interesting because the leaves fall on the ground, and they have a 2-year production. They alternate. So 1 year they produce, and the next year they do not produce. All technical operations are manual. As we can see, there are many difficulties to pick the fruit, so the production costs are high, especially in a condition, especially in difficult corporate conditions. The products which are made together with the ones which are not processed, so in a shell, without shell, and peeled. There are many other productions which have been developed on this territory in the so-called pole of pistachio, which has given rise to an interesting food pole with not only the local pistachio, which, as we were saying, had a designation in 2010, but it is also a slow food presidium, and it also allowed the territory to develop, together with the pistachio, a pole of nuts which has 50-60 million euro turnover. So you can understand that this territory for this niche product is particularly interesting. I finished, and I thank you. I was very good.
So now, last speaker, we have Lara Riguccio that will talk about the endogenous potential of rural landscape for the promotion and planning of territory. I will be brief. I will tell you that this group is related to Mrs. Tomaselli that coordinates this round table. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to be here today. We manage the rural landscapes and the endogenous potential for these landscapes, and as to this important multifunctional role that is given to agriculture. So we say that the territory is the instrument by which we can plan the entire territory. And then we arrive to the cities, so we intervene on the management of what's been kept until today, and we try to make some modifications, so not a museum aspect, but some actions could be well studied and constant. I would like to show you a project that we carried out for Sicily region and the Department of Infrastructures, especially concerning the creation of the Carta del Paesaggio, so the landscape map, wine landscape map, that is a strategic instrument for the organization and the development of the territory that wants to promote the presence of the cultivation of vines in the territory, so as to be developed from a rural point of view, but also from a touristic and food point of view. The goal of the charter and the map is to identify some guidelines, some strategies through which we can act on the territory. These strategies start from a political strategy, but then become some practical strategies for the planning of the territory itself. So the method was scientific and had two kinds of approach. On the one hand, we work on the knowledge, the processing, and the assessment of the characteristics of the features of the rural landscape that we considered. On the other hand, a socio-economic approach that assess those indicators that need to give rise to development from a touristic and food point of view. Today we saw some excellencies that characterize our territory, but are not sold because it is just an apple or a pistachio, or because it produces an excellent bottle of wine, but because it sells the territory. So the territory becomes the most important element in the general economy of the production activities. Also, investigations of the census say that the quality of the territory is the first element that characterizes the choice of the food tourists. We say that if we spend €1 for wine, this euro generates €5 for the turnover of the land. So the soil is exceptional, as is amazing, and the companies, as far as we saw through the study of the land, and we organized some meetings with the local actors, the territory is having some very good results. It is producing a lot, but everything stays inside of the companies. The companies evolved, the DOC, the associations, etc. But outside the company, everything seems to be to have a lack of organization. So we don't have a general organization of the territory. The municipalities do not cooperate and there's a lack of a head organizing the entire structure. So this is what the producers said. These are the claims of the producers, because the producers say, okay, my company is perfect, but when I exit the company, we have wasted and everything that we well know. We have some touristic visits, some touristic tours on the Etna, and if the tourist wants to visit the wineries of the Etna area, it's very hard. So our job went towards this direction. Through the analysis of the positive elements that we know quite well, and the tradition is related to the work of some private actors and has been discussed and improved, and we have some detractor elements of the heritage. Let's talk about the signals in the streets. It's a bit confusing as it appears today. Through our scientific investigations, we mapped our territory, and through the analysis of the most significant indicators of the territory, we verified, we assessed where these wine companies are present, exist in the territory, but also we thought at a potential of these areas. One of the most appreciated maps is this one. So we made a census on the companies of wine in the territory of Etna, and in the map this green boundary is the DOC area. Then we have the vineyards between Paternò and Biancavilla. They are not included in the DOC area, but they are very interesting areas. They are all vineyards connected to the ancient and old times. And this seemed weird, and all the companies, approximately 100, have been mapped, and for every company we also indicated, apart from the production of wine and what's bottled and how this is bottled, the promotion for tourists, because sometimes are bed and breakfast, sometimes there are restaurants. So this was quite an interesting activity. The next step was to understand how to organize this territory through a project of landscape. And this project outlines the major specific features of the territory related to the presence of vineyards, but also historic elements and interesting centers. So the connection of all these elements with the rural territory gives rise to an organization of the territory, putting together some physical, material and immaterial connections. So these are just the first steps in a planning that needs to have some other steps in order to move into detail. And this project has been carried out in a period of 1 year. The idea was to continue to work on these documents, and the region has these documents. The region wanted the files that we created, but everything should bring a more detailed planning, and the project also planned an action plan, so every action to be undertaken, every path, every strategic place the recovery of areas that were abandoned to create new green areas. So we did all this, and also some actions to develop the touristic development linked with the financing lines as the PSR. So this is the next step. Conclusions. My colleague emotioned me so much with her presentation. Everything starts from the knowledge. From the knowledge, we have the respect for our nature, the planning of our territory, for us and for our future generations. Thank you so much.
Grazie.
Thank you. I have to thank you all. I believe that today, even though we were a bit late, I think that today we had some lines that were very interesting. We saw some aspects that were very different one each other. We saw many material and material components that can contribute to the relaunch of some of the cultivations that probably in some cases are minor, or in some other cases are the major food productions. And these probably can give us and can give the public operators the ideas in order to try to identify some virtuous paths to create a network, and in order to have the cooperation of some foreign cooperators, and then the entrepreneurs that we have today that sometimes feel that they're alone, we can give them the possibility to find a new vital attitude in order to create some virtuous paths in our territories. So now I think that the conclusions will be made by Mr. Ferrara for the production activities. Thank you. First of all, I apologize for the late, because we were very late, and this meeting is the result of an exceptional work that lasted for so many months, and we have a personnel that works a lot. Sometimes we have some troubles, and Mrs. Tassi is making an extraordinary work. Maybe you don't know that. I will forgive her immediately, but actually it wasn't her fault. So I have to thank you for the contributions that you made. Very remarkable contribution. This topic maybe deserved another audience and a bigger space, but everything was recorded and will be the object of so many roundtables and so many workshops related to the after expo. That is the most important moment for us. A couple of things, because I do not want to talk for so much. The issue in the core of the expo focused on the concept of the power of human identity, through the power of our know-how and the beauty of our future. So what to do in order to keep our traditions, to overcome the lack of sources, and to overcome our bad conditions. So your contribution is very good and very important. And then, just to make a recap, this evening we talked about vines and wine, and this morning we crossed the topic of wine. In every sector, the relationship with markets, the lands, and so I think that we created a mono issue that was very important, and maybe we'll have a book on this issue. Thank you so much.
Anche dal taglio commerciale del food e del vino. C'è anche qualche delegato legato al